Welcome everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back to the Expert Talk with Tobias, and today it's on this side. Today it's Anna Royzman, and what should I do? What should I say as an introduction for Anna? To everybody who doesn't know her, she's organizing with her company's tech conferences, and that is an interesting topic because, as all of you, I'm also attending a different kind of tech conferences, sometimes small ones, sometimes big ones. And the bigger ones are more of an annoyance to me. But let's talk to Anna about her experience, what she suggests to make tech conferences better in the future. So Anna, if you want to introduce yourself quickly to the audience.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm running conferences. My company is Test Masters Academy, and I've been running conference since 2016. And I prefer in-person conferences for software testers and test leadership. And for test leadership is a big deal for me. So I definitely looking for more conferences like that, because what you get in at the conference is you will not get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. That being said, I mean, we did have a little discussion before the recording she started, and so you get at conferences what you don't get anywhere else if they are in person. That is what you state. And the thing is, if I remember back at Eurostar when I was there like 2 years ago, I said I will never go to Eurostar again. And it's not about the name Eurostar or whatever. It's just a huge conference, and you meet a lot of friends there actually. So there's a lot of time with friends that you already know that you haven't seen for a few years. That is actually the brilliant part on it. But then again, if you go to those sessions, it's more like you're sitting in the session and yet there's like, okay, we had this experience, we did the following, and we had the following result for us. And it's like, okay, so what does that mean to me? I mean, today, if you enter a talk to one of those conferences, you always have to like provide those three key takeaways for the talk, right? Like, what will the audience learn? But my experience, and that is really only my experience from those big conferences, like, what do I really take as a takeaway from those sessions? And it's not much. Is that something that you see the same, or is that something where you say like, hey, Tobias, you just went to the wrong conferences, you should have attended other conferences and the experience would have been different? Or do you think that this like, if it's an in-person event, then it should be different, like in comparison to having a session that takes 45 minutes, because that can also be online, right? I mean, we can all meet online. You can give me a conference session in 45 minutes. I can listen to it. I can work next to it. I can do everything. Why do I need to be in an in-person conference for a 45-minute session? And what is your opinion on that?
Thank you. It's interesting topic, because that exactly, we just had a conference in Seattle, and that exactly feedback came up when somebody, and it's interesting because it's changing. I think the in-person conferences are changing, and for the reason what you just said. If the person is only on the stage said, okay, this is what we did, this is my experience report, and they say, this is what we did, this is what worked for us, and these are three things that worked for us, and that's why we'll be successful. How does it fit to your experience if you're just having this lecture? Not much. And the better way of learning is actually discussing the practices with other peers. And I think that discussions and meeting other peers and talking casually about different experiences or different practices of what worked, what didn't work, are much better, not in a lecture format, but in a conferring format, when people talking to each other. Well, as you mentioned in Eurostar, why people don't talk to each other? Because it's a huge conference, too many people. And it's not, even if they said somehow they sell this, oh, look, so many people come in there. But in reality, when you come to a huge conference like that, your experience is very limited, extremely limited. And it could be limited to people who are sitting like next to you. And you may not get much from these people, but unless there is a specific, facilitation that open up the conversations, then your experience is left to yourself. And that's what I don't like about big conferences. They look good in pictures, or they look so great, but in reality, the experience is not too great. So for tech conferences, my favorite always has been 150 to 100 people, like 200 people max, because first of all, most of them go to the same sessions. So you go to the same session, people from different company, and then you have the same experience. And then after the session, you can talk to each other. And you say, okay, this doesn't work for us. What worked for you? And the other people say, oh, let's talk to this speaker. And you have a speaker, he's available too. It's not 1,000 people running after the speaker. You have maybe 20 people talking to the speaker. And then you can, then this experience will be meaningful for you. Then somebody tells you how they worked on this. Somebody can ask you, how did you solve this problem? And then through conferring, actually through the conversations, follow-up conversation after the lecture, you will get much more from the conference than just listening to the lecture.
Yeah, understood. It is actually interesting because you say like you wouldn't go to a conference that has more than 100, 150 attendees, because big conferences typically, so we are a vendor, right? We are a testing tool vendor, and typically we go to those conferences, and one of the KPIs they always provide us is like, we have 9,000 attendees over 3 different days from, I don't know, 250 different companies, and like 3% CTOs. So they actually more or less, they provide the wrong KPIs, right? Because in a sense, if everybody in those companies is isolated because there are just too many attendees, then I guess also for a vendor, there's not much in those conferences. But getting back to the 100, 150 conferences, what I also see is in front of those big conferences, like typically a day of workshops where they say like, we have 3 different workshop tracks in the first day. Those take like 6 hours in average. Is that something that you would say like, you prefer? Because in the end, I mean, a workshop always sounds brilliant, but I can imagine that if there are too many people in the same workshop, it is just getting unpractical. But what are your experiences?
So I've been running conferences for a long time. Since 2016, we always had workshops. And one thing about technical workshops, they are hard to do in the conference settings. They're just hard. For one reason, oftentimes in the conference setting, the Wi-Fi is not too good. You supposed to, usually when you come into the technical workshop, you're supposed to download, install some application beforehand. It may not work for you, as you you download something new. It may not install well on you. And the people in the workshop are often over the different levels. So what becoming challenges if you have like 24 people and one instructor, for him or her to attend to all these people, technically, it's challenging because they all on different levels. Some people may understand, even though you said that, okay, this is for intermediate level, what does it mean, right? And for some people it could be too easy, and for some they didn't learn much. And my kind of worst feedback I heard from the technical workshops, actually, for some reason, the better for worse. But what I have seen works well at the conferences, technical conferences right now, is somebody who is showing some technical solutions. You can be showing how you, not as a company, but how you yourself solving some problems. And these are the best, for some reason, right now, this is the best engaging conference sessions that I have seen. So, as I said, the technical workshops are challenging in a way. They are good, but they are challenging because sometimes not everybody in a room has the same level, and the technology may not be too great. But it's better than nothing. And it's the challenges that I heard of as a conference organizer. And sometimes, yeah, go ahead.
And I imagine actually for conference organizer, and that is something that I think you mentioned that before, and it is extremely difficult, right? Because you want to have more attendees, and to get more attendees, you need to have more speaker, but you cannot extend or prolong the conference endlessly. So it's a set amount of time that you have. So if you want to have more speakers, then those speakers have less time, and then it's less engaging for the attendees even more, right? So it's like a circle of death somehow. So how can you overcome that circle of death, like keeping the conference like interesting to everyone, but nevertheless putting something on the top every single year?
I think that the conferences landscapes has changed with the COVID, and when we went online for like several years, definitely the conferences, in-person conferences, they need to change.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because we just had a conference, and some of the speakers, they had the presentation which was they used to be engaging like entertainment, but as of right now, people don't go for conferences for entertainment. They go for the learning. And the best learning is happening when people exchange experiences. So, and practices. And that's, to me, that's where the future of the conferences in person is, because somebody shared the practice and people in the audience can relate to it. And then they can talk to the speaker and to the other people who are attendees and talk more about, did this practice work for us? Oh, this is something new that we're going to try. Okay. Oh, I tried this. Try this too, because that's going to work. And that's the best. That's the only thing that the live conference can offer that other events types cannot. For example, if you're online, you are passive learning, very passive. If you are engaged in a conversation with other people online, usually it's only text. It's really hard to get something meaningful from it because it becomes like a chat, like chat in the room.
Yeah.
It's very unproductive. But when people meet each other, they had the same experience in the room. They've been listening to somebody, practical things that they have heard, and then they talk to each other. It's the best. That's the best experience that the conference can give. And if you have huge conference and people go to different rooms, and you probably, out of 1,000 people, you probably meet like 20, right? What's the point for you to see all this like huge crowds like in the airport, like in the airport you're meeting a lot of people. There is nothing meaningful for you. It just becomes
it looks busy, right? It just looks busy. It looks like there's a lot going on at that huge conference.
Exactly. Yeah, but I don't think that huge conferences are for people. They are more for for something different.
Okay, got that. So the follow-up question on that would then be, like you said, you need to engage in small groups. So let's do the following. It's not really a role play, but let's assume I've never spoken on a conference before. I'm completely new, and those should be the takeaways of this video. Actually, so how would I actually start going to conferences? Because that sounds extremely challenging. Like keeping people interactive, like giving entertainment to them and presenting the practices that I learned and my learnings and my way of thinking in an entertaining way. Even so, people are not looking for entertainment. I mean, if you're not giving some kind of energy to the audience, I guess they don't want to interact with you afterwards. So what would be your advice, like if I'm completely fresh and I would love to speak at conferences starting from next year? So what would be the steps to prepare, and what would you do to actually get accepted from smaller and larger conferences?
It's a little bit challenging. So as a conference organizer, in order to be accepted, unless you invited by the conference organizers, because they know who you are and they know your material already, your best bet is to create a proposal, an abstract that makes the conference organizer want you. So that's number one.
And what does that actually mean, Anna? So how do I make myself wanted?
So you have ChatGPT. Use it. Yeah, use it because as a technical person, you may not know how the proposals look like and how to write them. And I learned the hard way. But I had a good experience with somebody. He's no longer with Star Conferences. His name was Lee Copeland, and he was the legend program chair of all Star East and Star West conferences in TechWell. And what he did is he personally, every submission to the conference, he personally called you. He got in a call with you because he doesn't know who you are. And he talks to you and he say, okay, I'm reading this proposal of yours. Can you tell me why we should take you? Like, what's so special about you? Why your talk is special? And then you describe it to him in your own words. And he said, oh, okay, interesting. And that give you additional opportunity to explain yourself and say, yeah, this is why my talk is special. I really want to talk about this. And then what he does and what he did, he rewrote my abstract to make it appeal to the audience, because he's professional. He knows how to rewrite it. And when you become professional organizer, you kind of know how it's supposed to look like, so people would come to you. So that's what he did to me. And I had this sample of my proposal rewritten in his way. And I took this proposal and I sent it to like gazillion conferences. I was accepted everywhere, with my talk. And I know the value of my talk, but I didn't know how to present myself to the organizer, to the marketing people. This gave me a huge head start. But we don't have Lee Copeland, but we have ChatGPT. So you can use, just take some of the samples. This is how to work with ChatGPT. Use it. Take some of the samples, how the best proposal look like that you get engaged to. Like you reading it and you say, oh my God, I want to go to the session. That's your samples. Take it and rewrite your proposal in this way. Use ChatGPT to write proposals that look similar to that. That's number one. Number two is you need to have some experience. So when they accept you to the conference, they assume that you have some speaking experience already. So try to speak at your local meetups. In your company. Your company have lunch and learns, right? Every company has something, right? Speak to your team, do a presentation to your team, but learn how to do the presentation, because the biggest deal with the first-time speaker is not actually the presentation skills, is to be on time. So many speakers cannot keep it on time. And it's a big deal in the conference because you have to stop at a certain time because the people have to go to next session. And it's a huge deal. So if you want to get better at your presentation skills, learn to time yourself. It's not enough just to do the presentation, but do the dry run, have some audience, talk to this audience. You're comfortable with keeping on time, and people give you feedback. So practice. That's what I'm trying to say. Practice and do some public experience before you go to the conference to submit. Have something behind you. Do some online webinar, anything. Find your local chapters, professional chapters, and ask to be a speaker there anywhere. But have some kind of experience behind you, because that will help you to be selected as well. Because conference organizers, they don't want to put people from the street. on a stage. They need some kind of background for you that says that, yeah, you've done it. You've done something. So just list everything and they will ask for it, What's your speaking experience? Usually every conference does. So list, have some kind of experience. Don't say like, oh, this is my first time. No. Even if you speak in front of your team, it doesn't matter, but it's an experience and it has to be listed.
So 3 points is more or less like get your abstract done by ChatGPT, get it aligned to the best abstract or proposals that you find online. That's the first one. I was actually tempted to say, do you offer that we send the proposals to you, Anna, so that you can rewrite them now that you learned how to do it? But we use ChatGPT. That's fine. We use ChatGPT.
I can give you feedback for sure. Yeah, if you send it to me, I'll give you feedback.
It's not only me. It will be. I guess it will be everyone in the audience. So be prepared for a storm of emails.
Fine. This is fine. Okay, I'm happy to help. I'm really looking. Oftentimes your experience is unique, and yes, we want to have more speakers to talk about their experiences.
Okay, so more or less like pimp your proposal, make it like marketing speak so that everybody wants to attend your talk actually. Then the second one is actually be on time. So practice for being on time. And that is actually true. I share exactly the same experience. Most of the new speakers, they just don't have any kind of time management. It's just like I do a lot of presentations. Oh, I have 10 minutes left. I'm only halfway through my presentations. Now I'm rushing to the rest of my slides. Oh, I forgot the end. I don't know exactly what it was. It's really like that. Exactly. If you have it the first or second time on stage, you see exactly that behavior. But I guess that's a given. So practice. And as Anna said, practice in front of like your team, practice in front of your family, practice in front of local get-togethers, lunch and learns, whatever you have. And yeah, I think those are valuable feedbacks, right? And
not just practice, but also have it as your part of your experience. Don't say I practice this in front of your team.
Yeah.
Put it as your speaking experience, because going in front of people who don't know you is scary. It is. And teaching them something is scary because they sit there and they all look like experts. They all do. Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah, it's actually true. Yeah, if you're standing in front of a large audience, it's like they all know it better than I do, but in the end, they don't know anything about your talk, right? So
exactly, and they look at you kind of like, yeah, what else you gonna tell us, And you got scared, intimidated. So what I said, practice your public speaking in front of unknown audience at the lunch and learns, at the local meetups, at the webinars. Do something. Become a speaker. Okay, before you go to the conference.
Now I am a speaker, and now I'm the first time ever in front of a big audience. Let's say I'm not on the main stage naturally, because I guess it takes some time to get there, but like a big audience, I have 20, 25, 30, 50 people in front of me. And how do I make, and now we're talking about talks, right? But how do I make that engaging? I mean, a workshop is a completely different kind of a beast, and I get it. It needs a lot more experience and a lot more preparation for a workshop. But so keeping it on the talk, like how do I actually make sure that that it's engaging? Are there any tricks that you can share with me as a first-time speaker that is now, I was just accepted to a conference, so I practice in front of everyone. Now I feel ready. Now I'm in front of the audience. So how do I keep this guy in the last row who is looking pretty tired to me engaged?
So there is some ways how to do this. And my big trick, this is mine. I have a little exercise when I ask people to talk to each other. So turn to your neighbor and discuss something, 5 minutes, whatever. But that gives you the energy. Now person is not just sitting, but they have to engage with somebody. That's number one. Then learn, if you really want to be great about this, learn how, like TEDx speakers, how they do the opening. The opening is oftentimes it's a mystery, or it's something emotional, in the beginning, or it's something funny, or it's some video that makes you relate to, like, on emotional level. And that's number one, or a little story. And there is so much great information online. TEDx is your, like, because TEDx have a challenge. They have like 5-minute talks, 10-minute talk, 15-minute talk, right? So just like watch them. Watch how they move on stage. That's another thing. They move freely on stage, right? So that's another thing for you, and because the audience reads you so well. If you scared on stage like this, they see it, and then they don't want to learn from you, because what they can learn from the person who is scared, right? So in order to be comfortable, as I said, practice is one thing. Speaking in front of unknown audience is second thing, which is you have to be there, get on stage, and then learn from the best. How people get openings on technical talk. So
so hopefully it works better this time. Yeah, we just had a little interrupt, so we had to set up everything new. I mean, this is already through post-production, but I want to be completely transparent with you guys. It might look a little bit different now, but I still have Anna with, and I never done that. I still have Anna with me. So yeah, here we are back. And let's continue where we finished. I guess for you guys, it is just like a few seconds before you see this. For us, it was more than like 15 to 20 minutes gap in between. But here we are. So the last thing we talked about is like how to actually learn from experienced speakers. Look at TED Talk speakers, see how they make the opening, see how they engage on the stage actually, because owning a stage is, I guess, a topic on its own, to be honest. And yeah, I still haven't learned that. So I'm always looking for tips on that as well. But nevertheless, so I'm as a completely new speaker. Meanwhile, I got engagement from the audience in my local community. So I have a brilliant proposal written by or optimized by ChatGPT. I was accepted at the conference. Now I'm in front of the audience of 50 people. I started my talk. I learned just now how to keep my audience engaged, or actually get them engaged in the beginning. Like make little practices with them. Like let's talk to the neighbor. Let's do something that actually forces them to have a little level of energy, not sit there in their chair saying like, okay, the next 45 minutes will be relaxing and I'm just listening to that. Make them aware that you are there, make them aware that you want to really show them what you have in your talk. And nevertheless, now I'm halfway through my talk, Anna, and some people start leaving the room. What is happening?
Okay. Yeah. What is happening? Couple of things. They may get hungry. They may decide that the session is not for them, which is okay. You're not supposed to, you're not in front of millions of people and make your session available to everyone. So that's okay as well. There could be a session parallel to yours that, and they have, like, they've been choosing between, okay, where should I go, to this session or to that session? So they may decide, okay, oh, the session is not for me. Maybe it's too technical and I didn't expect it, or the other way. Let me go to the other session. So anything can happen. And I know that it's usually like for the speakers, it's like a big deal. But relax, you're not, people are like, they have their own plans on like what to do at the conference. So they may go somewhere else because they think that somewhere else is different thing that they need to learn or they need to do. Maybe they have a call from the manager, you don't know, and they say like, right now be on a call because something happened in production. We don't know.
So in summary,
actually, I was in one conference.
Yeah, continue.
No, I say I was in one conference and it was like some of us technology managers were on this conference, and during that conference, the company started layoffs. So we were not affected, but I think they lay off like marketing team or something like that. But it's something is happening at work while you're on the conference. Something is happening, and you got nervous. Who knows? So you never know why people leave. But it's also okay that it's also okay that they may not find your session what they need. So they, conferences for learning. So they may catch up with you later. The people in the audience, yes, it's a big deal.
I think that is a good advice, actually. So it might be about you, but in most of the cases, it's not about you. Just forget about it and go on, right? Because that is what I also see. That is also what I see on first-time speakers. Sometimes, at least, is when people start leaving the room, you actually can see like they are scared. You can actually you see that in the faces like, did I do something wrong? Why did 2 people leave?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, so I finished my session.
You never know.
I finished my session, and it was an amazing success, naturally, because that is what we planned for, right? That is why we do all of those exercises. And now for the next time, and I really want to keep that short because I guess I'm stealing already too much of your time, to be honest, specifically with the break. Is like, okay, and next time, because in the pre-discussion we had we discussed a little bit about workshop and workshop technologies and also about how you have experiential workshops like you learned from Jerry Weinberg. And so now after my talk and everything was perfect, next time I want to do a workshop. What would be the entry point to that? Is that something that I can easily do, or is that something that I better give up till like, I don't know, have a standing in the community and build up more experience? What would be like an introduction to workshops? It's not that like, how do I deliver that to the conference, but how would I start building up the expertise for workshops?
Workshop is a little bit more, how to say it? You need to have a plan. Mm-hmm. A plan for getting people, you need them to learn certain things. And every workshop starts with the plan. So you have to understand which areas you're going to put in there that gives people something to take with them. Any workshop, it's a hands-on workshop, right? If it's a technical workshop, if it's not more like, there's different types of workshops. You can have team building workshops, you can have a process workshop, learning to different ways to process agile, for example. Or it can be more about brainstorming people to learn something, coding, mostly coding or testing with with more hands-on kind of tools. Then you have to plan. And when you plan that, it's better for you to practice with real people how fast they can do your exercises. It's a big deal because if some people don't understand how to like even start, then you have to do a holding for them, and you can spend all your time on that person, and everybody else will not get anything from the workshop. So that's number one. In the technical workshop, you need to because other people are interacting, you have to understand that give them more time. What you think it will happen is not the same thing that happens. The difference between presentation and the workshop is that in the presentation, you can only time yourself. And okay, you can get very comfortable. This is how I'm doing it. This is how much time it takes me. But when it's a workshop, people may be slow. Technology may be slow. And you have to practice in that too, and to see how, like, give it to a little group of people, your friends, your coworkers, to go through with you on the workshop. That's number one. So technology can be bad. Sometimes Wi-Fi, what we see in here, Wi-Fi is bad and it can be slow. And when Wi-Fi is slow, then sometimes you cannot perform some technological tasks, right? So also be prepared for that. Ask from organizers how you can have a good Wi-Fi, because it really matters on technology workshop. Yeah, that's number two. Number three, when you describe your workshops, always write down the requirements and prerequisites. The person needs to have a laptop with this, and this memory or something like that. You need to describe the because you're working with technology, you have to be pretty specific about what the people should be bringing to this workshop. That's number three. And number four is describe the level of the proficiency in tech proficiency that the person on your workshop should have just to attend, because it's a big deal.
But that's also difficult, right? It's like, it's always like a self-assessment for everyone.
Yeah, but you have to kind of describe, because in the same way, you don't want people standing and leaving in the middle of the workshop, right?
Would it be a good idea to actually describe, like, hey, the following technologies will be applied. Like, you need to be able to understand, I don't know, a coding language. You need to have a little bit of experience in Selenium, and not like in a sense like you need to be advanced.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because what is advanced? I mean, it's nothing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nothing. Yeah, be more specific about. Yeah.
Anna, thank you very much.
And
that was very entertaining and very helpful, actually, in on my way to the first main stage. I guess the audience learned a lot from that, actually, and I see those steps. It's an amazing guide on how to become a speaker. Thank you very much for being in this expert talk.
Much.
It was a pleasure to have you on the call, Anna. Looking forward to have you again.
Oh, thank you very much, Tobias. It was a pleasure talking to you, and good luck to everyone.